Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Sask Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sports, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
And welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Sports Cage. Yes, for Saskatchewan Lotteries, where I can pass on to you that one of the $75,000 prizes has been won. I know where it was won. I don't think I'm allowed to reveal that, but that means one is still out there. They've given out around 29 gift cards. None of the other large rider packages have gone either. So get out there, buy that rider scratch ticket from Saskatchewan Lotteries, main fundraiser for sport, culture, and recreation in Saskatchewan. I'm back. I made it back. Lots of traveling. We'll get into that over the next 3 hours and throughout the week here, because I was out there asking people questions on different things, whether it was in Ottawa or down in the United States of America. But it is good to be back and chatting on the Sports Cage. Today, we are going to talk to Rob Vanstone in hour one. Rob comes by, recap the Ottawa game, which I think it's been said it wasn't pretty, but they're not all Picassos or Glen Scrimshaws, if you want to keep it in Saskatchewan. They all can't be beauties. A win's a win. We'll talk to Vanstone in hour one. Also in hour one, $100 on the line from Pump Jacks Cathedral Trivia today. Pump Jacks Cathedral, located Albert and 13th Avenue. Great place before and after games, like Sunday coming up here. We'll maybe do it when Rob is here. We'll see if Rob will be able to answer the question on that one as well. Hour two, Arash Madani. Arash, we're covering a number of different things. The Blue Jays stink. They're on a slide. We'll talk about the World Cup, which I'm totally invested. I'm going to talk about that as well. Bo Levi Mitchell, Colarosa's injury. My wife's even calling him Colaros now. And more from the CFL. And an interesting audio clip he sent us from Mike O'Shea this past weekend. Ooh, Arash. We're getting crazy with Arash. We got to talk hockey. Like, some of the stuff going on in the NHL and the signings and all that. I heard one guy say, prominent NHL broadcaster, say that this Leo Carlson move that Philly's doing could change things in the NHL. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Cody Janzen from the World Hockey Report will be back with us. We'll talk about a number of different things in the NHL, but Daniel Briere, I don't know if he's crazy or really smart, but we'll get into that. Glen Suitor in hour three, a lot to talk to Suits about. He's back from Kelowna. We'll talk CFL. We'll talk Riders. Bo Levi Mitchell. A Joe. We guess we haven't got Glen's take on the Joe reinstatement, so we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. It is for Saskatchewan Lotteries, like I said. Text in, join in, regulars, where you been? Are you guys on holidays? Are you back now? 936-6262, Prairieland Rentals text line. Prairieland Rentals, 600 Albert Street in Regina. Whatever you are doing in the backyard, and if it requires something of a tool that you need to rent, there you go. Deal with the owner. Also, Husqvarna dealer in Regina, robotic lawnmowers on special and on hand. All of our guests join us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. First thing the family needed to get after holidays when we rolled back into town, because we're not going to cook at 7 o'clock last night. Western Pizza. I'm telling you, You know, everybody listening to this show probably has had Western Pizza, except maybe the guy in Alabama that listens, or the other guy in Maine. And if you haven't, you miss it when it's gone.
Dave swears by the number 2.
I started the Deuce. When Dave moved into town, I said it's the Deuce. The Deuce is really good. The number 2, when drinking, I think, beer, it does something with the taste buds and the salts because it's a double meat. What is it? Pepperoni, mushroom, bacon?
I'll figure it out right here. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
I remember first time I ever had it, we were guzzling pints. And I was like, whoa, I didn't think I'd like this. Because I'm an all-dressed guy. I know it's not popular, but I like pineapple on a pizza.
Number 2, pepperoni, mushroom, bacon.
Mm-hmm. Canadian
the Deuce.
Bacon. Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Yeah, 936-6262. Okay, here is something that we're going to get uncomfortable today on this.
Okay.
We're getting uncomfortable. And you guys can come at me. That's what the text line is for. I know some of the regulars, you want to come after me.
Yeah, Barney, you're a pigeon. No.
Yeah. Nice haircut, loser. Kay, if you're watching on the stream, YouTube.
If you're on the radio, you could just imagine how stupid his haircut looks. Just picture in your head.
Text in. I need to know. Was anybody else cheering for the USA against Belgium? Or just me? I was watching it in the United States, which doesn't really matter. Why is almost everybody I hear, talk to, see witty little clips on social media? Was anybody else cheering for our neighbors to the south that we love to probably go visit and holiday most of the time and hang? No one? Oh, Curtis, you weren't?
No.
You would rather have Belgium win.
Belgium has some
ties to Belgium.
You know, talking about beer, Belgium has some really great beer.
The Blue Moon is a nice, tasty beer.
Stella Artois.
That thing's Bush League in my mind. But anyway, we are talking about. I'm at a table, and Canada's playing in the World Cup. I'm just all invested in this World Cup thing. Now I know what people that watch Olympic hockey or the Four Nations Cup that got right into it, I know what they feel like. They have no idea about the sport, but you're in. It's exciting. Your country's playing. Yes, I sprinkled. Oh, Montana, you got it figured out. They got the kiosks and the little casinos that you can sports bet, like Vegas. Oh, beauty. Some text messages. I'm sitting there watching it, and there's at a tavern, and there's a bunch of Americans around, and they are cheering for Canada. They're on us. They're like, yeah, let's go. And then 2 days later, or the next day, we are playing. I'm cheering for the different group of people, mind you, different group of people, and I'm cheering for the USA. I want the USA to win. I did sprinkled on. I think I sprinkled. I can't remember. Sprinkled on. But they didn't want Morocco to win. They wanted us to win. So then I get into the conversation, and I'm like, I got to ask. Do you guys? What if we were playing and went through all these other countries? They're like, no, we cheer for Canada. You guys are like our neighbor. You know, smaller and cute, but we're up there. We got awesome stuff. They were cheering for us. And they're like, who are you? Who are you cheering for tomorrow?
Belgium.
I said USA. I get it. I'm pro-American. Love visiting there. Lived there. Part of the health system, all that for a year, almost 2 years. So I get it. But then I get into this one. Because right away they go, what's your Canadian football team? Said the Rough Riders. Saskatchewan Rough Riders. They've heard of it. And I said, okay.
Probably from John Gruden.
Here
Saskatchewan Roughriders.
It's like Montana. Like they're if you're football guys, you kind of know about it. So then I go, all right, boys, give me your take on the CFL. What do you think when you watch? When's the last time you watched it? What do you think about it? They love it. You got the movement. You got this big field. You got extra. It's exciting, and this isn't verbatim, but you're getting the picture. Mm-hmm. And these guys are they love the league. They love watching it. So then I go, do you think teams in the USA would work? Like maybe if we kind of dabbled in just across the border, maybe brought our Canadian game down there. And I know the ratio thing and all that wouldn't work. They tried it. This is where it's going to get uncomfortable today. 936-6262. And they were like, no. They're like, yeah, no. We love watching it. It's awesome. It's exciting. It's cute. It's great. Maybe if they gambled on it, it'd be great for them in that respect. But they were like, no. I said, what if we put a team in Fargo? They weren't from there. I think the one guy's from Wyoming. One guy's definitely from Texas, Montana. Where else are they from? But regardless, and I was like, okay, what if we put a team in Billings? And they're like, no, university, college ball. I said, exactly. The CFL isn't expanding to the United States anytime soon. And then I said, I would like to know, and one guy I think was wealthy because I think he has a private jet. Just listening to conversations, I'm like, yeah, you're in a different atmosphere, stratosphere as me. I said, yeah, what if like some rich American guy wanted to put a Canadian team in? And they were like, why, where, what? I said, exactly. It was so enlightening, engaging, a lot of the stuff that I kind of already thought, but they love watching the CFL. I think it's a great game. Of course, right away, everybody, when you say CFL down there, they go Warren Moon or Doug Flutie. Yeah, Jeff Garcia had a heck of a run too. I don't want to forget about Garcia. Cameron Wake. Who are the guys I'm missing? 936-62.
I bet Rob would know all the guys that you're missing.
Rob just texted me. I think he's having Wi-Fi issues.
Is he?
Resolved.
He's
going to be back. So there we go. There's some of the regulars are coming after me. Roscoe, yeah. Yeah, thanks for the comment. I appreciate you. No name. Barney gave Curtis a nickname, Backgammon. I'm looking if we have anything from way above where he said his name. He says, no one was cheering, just you, man. Cheering for Belgium all the way. We got somebody, again, no name. Give your names, guys, and where you're from or girls. Had money on the USA, so you were cheering for the USA. So there's two of us. James, he's, what are your thoughts on, James is getting into something else here about Jeffrey. Let me know. Holly, love the name. Love the USA too. I cheered for our neighbors for the game yesterday. Some of our favorite holidays were to the USA. Too bad our dollar is so low. We'd be traveling there more than we do. Montana is beautiful. Holly, yeah, Holly. We've been going. My wife figured it out. It was my birthday on July 2nd. We've been going there roughly 20 years. And I've had, so let's say it's 18 birthdays celebrated down there. She gets the same cupcakes from the same Super One. And we absolutely love it. And the mountains and the golf and the no bugs. Yeah, the dollar stinks, but for right now, the one year that we went down and the dollar was at par, it was like, it felt like I was stealing. Like I was going into place with a balaclava and coming out with the even money. And I was like, that big bag of cheese is only $1.25? What? That'd be like $12 back home. Yeah, but right now it sucks. Groceries suck. All that. My wife did find some good deals. But yeah, so we'll get into it. Keep it going. Uncomfortable. Americans, they like us. They like our game. They cheered for us. On the other side, the hate. We got Rob Vanstone coming up. It's a Sports Cage for Saskatchewan Lotteries on Tuesday, 936-6262. Prairieland Rentals text line. If you want to chirp, chime in, whatever. Let us have it. Curtis is with me. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Curtis is with me. And I just noticed that Jeffrey is back. Been gone 9 days, 10 days. Jeffrey is back on the chat. Jeffrey, you keep her clean. There are those monitors. They're going to come and get you. Swervin' Mervin Fernandez. What a throwback. Ed on the chat. You could do a sister city thing and play a single game a year, but that'd be it. Hey, interesting concept, Ed. Not that there's crazy, but I like it. Ed. Andrew from the Battlefords. That's who was saying it was just me cheering. He was Belgium all the way. Well, Battlefords and Belgium are similar, Andrew. That's why. Watch for the camper to return Sunday against the Tiger Cats. James singing, AJ, all that. We can get into that with Rob Vanstone in a bit. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Western Pizza, when you don't have it for like 12 days, you miss it. Trust me. Lasagna, ribs, burgers, salads, souvlaki, whatever you need. It is your local Western Pizza. Rob Vanstone, you got your internet figured out there, my friend. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Barney. Belated happy birthday. I had this bright idea that I would go and sit on the champions deck with the 2025 Grey Cup banner in the background. And I, for some reason, that walk over there somehow disabled my Wi-Fi. Oh. So I was scrambling all over trying to find somewhere where I could get the four little, whatever that insignia is. So I apologize. It was a noble gesture. I wanted to have a great background. Instead, you got the press box, which is also plush and beautiful, but I had more grandiose goals today.
We're good. I appreciate you trying, nonetheless. I don't know if you heard, but I was down in Montana. I was in Ottawa too, which we'll get into that a bit too. Then we went to Montana and watching soccer at a couple of taverns, Canadian game and the U.S. game, and getting into all that. And then I asked a curious fellow, and I like to talk to people. I've never been punched actually for doing it. Do it a lot in Vegas. Just ask, hey, so what do you think? What do you think about the CFL? Because we're getting into countries, and they were cheering for us, and I was cheering for them. And they said they absolutely love watching the game when they find it on a CBS network. I know it used to be kind of on ESPNs and all that. They love watching the CFL game and how exciting it is. Mind you, when I asked, do you think like a team would maybe work in Montana or over the border and all that? They were like, no. It's college football. You see the other leagues trying that don't work. They're like, no. But it's a great game. And the other thing, I didn't mention this. I said, do you know how many teams are in the CFL? And they're all like, no. They kind of tried to rattle a few off. And I said, it's only 9. I said, do you think there's anything wrong with that? They're like, no. They're saying it's great. Every time I watch it, it's great. It's exciting. And then I went into how many overs you could hit this year because of the scores. I'm sure you've interviewed and you talk to people south of the border. Do you usually get the same vibe? Like, it's good football. It's exciting football. They like watching it.
Yeah, people who have had that exposure to it have loved it. I remember the 95 Grey Cup here, and Baltimore Stallions ended up winning that. And a sizable contingent of Baltimore fans were here. My mom, bless her heart, befriended a Baltimore Stallions fan named Joe Short, who for years afterwards would go to the Grey Cup wherever it was. And he was here in 95 with some of his friends. And my mom and Joe Short used to exchange Christmas cards every year. And he always loved the CFL and carried on his fandom long after the Baltimore Stallions left, which was shortly after the 95 season.
Baltimore, why do you think my actually sister and brother-in-law live there, and I've visited. Baltimore is an interesting city. It's beautiful, but it's got some points. Close to DC.
I want to go to Baltimore because I got hooked on The Wire, and now I want to go to Baltimore to see what Baltimore's like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, they got
a great show.
Fells Point. It's like, by the harbor, and I remember all the bars and restaurants and all that. Then the inner harbor, and you can take the water taxi. We took the water taxi over to Camden Yards. My sister worked at Camden Yards. I thought it was we drove by. That's the Baltimore Ravens had just been back, I think, a couple of years. Then they drove me by the old stadium where the Orioles played, and then the Stallions played. And it was by then already condemned, nothing going on, but it was still up. And I was like, man, it's crazy to think that there was a CFL team here, and I watched them for years, and they were so successful. Did you ever put your finger on why, besides the fact that they didn't have an NFL team and then they got it back, but why Baltimore was so much more successful than the other teams that didn't have NFL teams also down there, Rob?
I think ownership was a big issue there. I think a very strong ownership. I think winning helped. One of their first moves was to hire Don Matthews. They hired Jim Pop. They understood how the CFL game works. Some of the other American teams would hire American coaches that had no or little understanding of the 3-down game. And it was a more gradual adjustment for them, whereas with Don Matthews, and they signed a pile of free agents, Gerald Bayless, Charles Anthony from the Rough Riders, Tracy Ham, they acquired him pretty quickly. So they had star power, and they had players and coaches who understood the game, and then you add the fact that they didn't have to play any Canadian players. And the natural advantage that they had with having Don Matthews and Jim Pop and a marquee quarterback, coupled with the ratio issues, the Baltimore football populace had been starved for football, and it just everything connected at the right time there, and that was a success story when there weren't many in terms of how those teams fared. I think Sacramento was another team that did pretty well. They had a committed owner in Fred Anderson, and David Archer had some success, and et cetera. But Baltimore was sort of the example of how to do that when it was being done correctly. That team was loaded. They probably should have won 2 Grey Cups.
Very, very good. I'm glad I asked you that question because I wouldn't have connected the dots with the ownership and then hiring successful CFL people. Jeffrey says it on the chat too, so he was in the know. And then I'm just looking here. I had no Mike Pringle. I was like, did he just start? I remember with Baltimore, but he had Sacramento.
He was with Sacramento previously.
And it looks like he had Atlanta Falcons 90-91. Then he had a cup of coffee with the Edmonton Eskimos then. In time he spent 22 carries, 127. So he played with the Eskimos. Then the Sacramento Surge of the World American Football League, Sacramento Gold Miners, then Baltimore Stallions.
The old Baltimore Stadium, they had a playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1976, and not long after that game, a small plane crashed into the upper deck, and had that happened 15 minutes earlier, there would have been people in the stadium. And the pilot, fortunately, was okay, but that's my Baltimore Stadium trivia.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we got the Riders in Ottawa. I was in Ottawa the week before. I saw 2 people walking with Red Blacks jerseys on the street. I was like, okay. I did ask some people at different places, a couple of bartenders. Soccer was huge going on ever. I said, so tell me about the Red Blacks. Are you, fans, popular, all that? They're like, never been to a game. Know about them, never been to a game. But regardless, Riders go in there. A bit of a slow start. But the one thing that early in the game that I thought the Riders doing a great job of, and any offensive coordinator or coach for that matter, we were getting solid yards. Conley was getting solid yards on first down.
Yeah, and he's it's tough not to have AJ Ouellette, but Conley has filled in quite capably the last couple of games. And Trevor Harris, one of his mantras coming into the year was just, it's been, how are you going to respond when adversity hits? And this is nothing new, but it's something he's been really accentuating, and I presume the team as a whole has been talking about. So suddenly you're down 10-0 with after an interception and a blocked punt, and just shrugged it off, and it became 10-7, and eventually the game tilted in the Rough Riders' favor. But it's fun. Ottawa's been a tough place, irrespective of their record. 2 years ago there was that 22-22 tie there, and then last year the Riders won 2013, and it's tough to win on the road. It's tough to win, period. And the Riders' last 9 victories have been by single-digit margins. So I'm not sure, given the way things have shaken out, it should be really surprising that the game evolved that way. And yeah, Trevor Harris referred to it as an ugly win, and there's been various characterizations of it. But the Rough Riders have tended over the last 2 years to win close game after close game after close game, and they haven't lost very often, period. So I think after a while you just have to say, okay, this is a team that finds a way to win, and that's a trait, that's a quality. You can't teach it, but you'd better have it.
I think I stood up and cheered actually for Nick Weeb. And that forced fumble, you must have been happy for him as well.
Yeah, I let loose the yelp that woke up my dog. That's the first forced fumble of Nick Weeb's professional football career, and the first fumble recovery. And this is the Rough Riders' reigning special teams player of the year, so he's already done some notable things on special teams. But that was such a huge play in the game, and a lot, after that, it was largely a game in the Rough Riders' favor. But that and the Matthew Sexton punt return, that's 2 huge plays on special teams.
Yeah, Matthew Sexton. Let's get into that.
What a great story.
Tell us about this journeyman. What do you know that we don't know, the casual fan, about this guy, Rob?
Well, he's the first Rough Rider ever from Clinton, Michigan. And apparently, when we chatted during training camp, apparently he's the first product of Clinton High School in Michigan to play like college football, or a certain tier of college football. It's a real underdog story. This is somebody who, I think he's been with 5 NFL teams. This was his second CFL team, XFL, et cetera. He's certainly toured the ranks of professional football. And oddly enough, his introduction was to the Canadian Football League. He was with the Ottawa Redblacks in rookie camp this year. And then the Riders signed him shortly after that. And the Riders on Friday started 2 players who'd begun the CFL season with other teams right out of the outset of camp. Quali Connolly was in Montreal, and Matthew Sexton was in Ottawa. And here they are showing up during training camp and playing pretty prominent roles in the Rider win.
Does he remind you of anyone, Rob, in your years covering, the guy that's just grinded, that's played different leagues, different teams, that just didn't shut it down? He came up and was able to forge, I guess, a path in the CFL?
Oh, Trevor Harris.
Okay.
If you look at, Trevor's referred to his pre-CFL years as the washing machine. And there's leagues that you have to Google to remember that he was in. And from coming out of college 2009 through going to Toronto in 2012, he was everywhere. Different position, different skill set. But if you look at the background of Trevor Harris between college and the Rough Riders and compare that to Matthew Sexton, it's really not that much different. It's there's that persistence. I mean, Trevor didn't start court games consistently until he was 29 years old, and Matthew Sexton is going to be 29 in October, and so maybe there's a bit of a parallel there.
Yeah, that is a really good one. Jake Mayer. I like Jake Mayer. He was in studio. He helped co-host last year. Great guy. Likes to golf. Just seems like a genuine guy. Obviously when he's playing the Riders, we don't want him to win. But what did you think of Jake's game?
I thought Jake did fine. The pass he threw to Geno Lewis near the goal line, what a dime that was. Obviously the quarterbacking has been an area of discussion in Ottawa. Sometimes I think you need to, here's that pass I was referencing on for those of you watching. Sometimes you need to evaluate the quarterback while factoring in the circumstances. And Ottawa's had its struggles this year. That's nothing new. I remember when Tom Clements played in Saskatchewan for 8 games in the 1979 season and threw 2 touchdown passes, threw 11 interceptions, didn't look at all like Tom Clements. Before that, he played with Ottawa, terrific player. From Saskatchewan, he went to Hamilton, subsequently to Winnipeg, now in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. And the only place where he struggled was at the start of the 79 season in Saskatchewan. That was a team that didn't win a game until October 14th. And he didn't stop being Tom Clements. There just wasn't the cast around him. And I'm not suggesting that Jake Maier is of that echelon, but it's tough to evaluate a quarterback when the situation hasn't been synonymous with winning for a while. And I wonder if he's caught up in that trap a bit.
You talked about that play, and Curtis showed it on the feed. But there was one in the fourth quarter where he throws it across the middle in an absolute dart. And I was like, that's a big time. Unless he closed his eyes and then just put it there, that was a big time pass and completion when they needed it. So hands are full again this week as they travel to Edmonton, Maier and the Red Blacks. Trevor Harris, I saw you tweet. By the way, you got to follow Rob during the game and on Twitter as well. That was his first carry of the year. Speaking of yelps, I yelped when he took off there.
I get very, very nervous when I see that. And I used to, when Ronnie used to take off once a season, I used to have the same same responses. So, but I mean, Trevor Harris had the highest average per carry on the Rough Riders last year. So
he had the what? Sorry, you say that
the
again?
highest average yards per carry on the Rough Riders last year. So there's a great trivia question. And now at 9.0 yards, he's leading the team once again. So the T-Mobile label that he's affixed to himself is certainly valid.
It's okay. Another one here. I wanted to ask you: most TD passes by a Rider quarterback after the first 4 regular season games.
Yeah, Trevor Harris has got 10. I think there's 3 of them who have 10. I'd have to revisit my tweet.
Burgess, Lancaster have 10.
And there's I think Henry Burris and Darian Durant are above him. Henry, I think 12. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to remember my tweet or my X. I think Henry Burris had 12 over the first 4 games in 2000. 2 of them were in overtime to Curtis Marsh.
Correct.
In a 52 all tie against Calgary on July 28th, 2000, for all that's worth. And then Darian Durant was exploded out of the gate in 2013. So, and Trevor's thrown for multiple touchdowns in each of the first 4 games, and that's also, I think, that's pretty tough to do. And I'm just wondering, what kind of trajectory he's going to be on. You hear all sorts of talk, and obviously everybody saw it and appreciated the kind of game Vernon Adams Jr. had, etc. And people are already talking about MOP candidates, and I think by the end of the year, Trevor's going to be in that discussion. Mm-hmm. And this is someone who wasn't mentioned in the discussion as much as he should have been last year. It ended up being the Grey Cup most valuable player, and I think he was fine with that.
Rob Vanstone, Rider historian from the Riders, joining us here. Rob, can you stay with us for maybe another 8 minutes if we go to break and come back? Internet's good?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take my pulse and see if I'm still functional, but that should be okay, at least for 4 or 5 minutes. Then I'll start to fade.
It's for Saskatchewan Lotteries, where one of the Rider scratch tickets, $75,000 main prizes, have been won. We're going to go to break. We'll come back with more Rob Vanstone. It is the Sports Cage, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Welcome back to the Sports Cage on this Tuesday. Rob Vanstone's joining me on the Western Pizza guest hotline here. We're talking a lot of things. Now, as we went to break here, if you heard us talking earlier, we were talking about the Baltimore franchise in the CFL. You brought up a point. It was the Steelers and
the Colts.
Baltimore
76
Colts.
first-round AFC playoff game.
76, and a plane crashed into old Memorial Coliseum. And Kurt, if you're watching the stream, Curtis found a picture of it. That is inside the stadium. Like, I was picturing it hit the outside. It landed in a section in the upper deck, Rob.
Yeah, and the pilot survived that, apparently. You look at that now, and it's miraculous that he did. But it's so fortunate that, again, the timing was what it was. But
very.
Yikes! I remember hearing that on the news that night. That was in the days when we didn't have cable television in Saskatchewan, and the only NFL games you got were on CBC after the CFL season. And so that was the one NFL game we were able to watch that day, one NFL playoff game. And Terry Bradshaw threw a bomb to Frank Lewis for a touchdown, hit Lynn Swan for a couple of touchdowns. Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier both got hurt in the same game, and what might have been the best Steeler team of that whole dynasty period ended up being fed to the Oakland Raiders the next week because there was no running game. And that Steeler team averaged like fewer than 10 points allowed over the course of the 76 season. It's probably the best Steeler defense they ever had, and they never even got past the second round of the playoffs.
Interesting. Wow. So I think the most interesting thing of all that info you just threw at us was NFL games were a rerun on CBC.
Yeah. We didn't get any NFL until the CFL season was over, and then we get one game a weekend. And that was tough for someone who just loved football of all sorts of all descriptions. So for Christmas that year, my dad got me a 9-band radio that pulled in AM like crazy, and I was able to get American radio stations all over and listen to them. And it had a shortwave signal or shortwave band, an American Armed Forces shortwave station, shortwave channel. Used to air NFL broadcasts on the Armed Forces Network, and that's how I paid most of my attention to the NFL until '78 when we finally got cable TV. What a beautiful day that was.
Speaking of CBC, I caught this last week on my birthday, July 2nd. Unfortunate news: a passing on July 2nd. Tommy Hunter, the great Tommy Hunter from the Tommy Hunter Show, passed away. Who doesn't remember that from their youth if you're in our demographic? The Tommy Hunter Show. Al Cherney, I think was
Put the Rhythm Bells on there. The Allen sisters, were they on the Tommy Hunter Show? I'm trying to remember. I mean, when you only had 2 TV stations growing up, everybody watched everything. And
exactly.
Heather Pearson, I used to work with her at the Leader Post. Heather was our editor-in-chief, and she told a great story on Facebook the other day about interviewing Tommy Hunter. And apparently the publicist contacted Heather in advance and said, you're going to have to work really hard to get Tommy to talk about himself because all he's going to want to do is ask about you. He's just so interested in other people. And sure enough, the interview came to be, and Tommy Hunter spent more time asking about Heather than Heather was able to spend asking about Tommy Hunter. Just a genuine guy who, you don't find that in interview situations very often where you end up being the one being interviewed.
Yeah, many a night.
You never hear a bad word about him. He was just such a genuine guy. And I'm not a country music fan by any stretch of the imagination.
You're a jazz guy.
I appreciate talent, and I appreciate grace and class, and he was every bit of that.
Tommy Hunter, that's right, passed away last week. Back to the Riders, Ottawa.
How did I get on that tangent? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I led you down that path. Classic. I saw this tweet too. Most catches by a Saskatchewan Rough Rider player after 4 games. Keyshawn Johnson, 2026, now sits with 32. Ray Elgard, and I would have never thought this guy would have. Ray Elgard had 34 catches after the first 4 games. The second guy, I would have never got him as catching that many passes. Must have been a lot of swings or dumps or into the flats, quick little outs. Lucius Floyd,
Yeah, Kent Austin loved throwing to Lucius Floyd. And there were many games when Lucius Floyd would have more receptions than he did carries in the early 90s. He was the West Division's Rookie of the Year in 1990, and he was basically another receiver. The running game was an afterthought in those games. And when they did lean on the running game, it was usually with Milson Jones.
My dad loved Milson Jones. He had a boiler. He had a big boiler.
But whether it was, you go from Tim McRae to Lucius Floyd to Mike Saunders, and they had just a procession of running backs who could have played slot back. And in fact, I think Mike was a slot back, a receiver in college at some point, and they were just another part of the passing attack that was just absolutely amazing to watch in the early 90s.
Have you been out? I know I saw you there in game one to the tailgate experience. Are you going this Sunday back out there? What's the game plan?
Yeah, I think I will go and pay a visit and try to observe my type 2 diabetes diet, and while sniffing and smelling all sorts of bratwurst or whatever delicacies are being served. But yeah, I want to go and look around and do some socializing. My wife was thinking of going and thinking about taking the dog, so that we might all visit it and then take the family home to our dog's condominium and get on with the day.
I want to get your I want to get your take on what you think. It's unfortunate, and I know they're coming in here this weekend to play the Riders, and they're not going to have Bo Levi Mitchell. But in a game that I'm watching, and people are watching, and he's having such a great season. Last year he had an unbelievable season, and then Zach Collaros, both guys out of that game, and we were talking older quarterbacks, a little bit older quarterbacks, and they're slinging it around the yard. But as a football fan, as a fan of the league, sucks to see that happen to Bo.
Well, I look back and just some of the, maybe I'm being too nostalgic today, but I look back at games I'd watched at Taylor Field. Of course, I loved watching the Rough Rider players, but I'm so glad I saw Warren Moon play. I'm so glad I saw Dieter Brock throw a football. Doug Flutie, Jeff Garcia, people you've mentioned earlier in the show. They're part of this. They're part of the show too. And my mom loved watching Jackie Parker. It was always a big deal when Edmonton came to town because she loved Jackie Parker. She loved Tony Gabriel and Peter Dalla-Riva and Terry Evanshin. She always had a soft spot for players on the other teams. And if the other team isn't viable, it isn't much of a show. And especially Bo being 36, even if not for the injury, you think, okay, how many more chances am I going to get to watch Bo, especially being on an Eastern team? How many more times is he going to come in here? Mm-hmm. Maybe a handful if we're really lucky. And, and we're lucky here. We get to watch Trevor Harris at 40 years of age, looking like he's 28 years of age, and appreciate every opportunity you get to watch these wonderful athletes play, regardless of the affiliation, because they're the ones who give us, they entertain us royally. I was always a big Jim Young fan with the BC Lions. Jim Young will always be my favorite non-Rough Rider of all time, and I loved it when BC came in because the first sports book I ever read was Dirty 30 by Jim Young, co-authored by Jim Taylor, and Jim Young was always kind of one of my football heroes. And so then I got a chance to meet him, and he was just as nice a guy as he was as great a guy as he was a player. So,
and we mentioned him on the show earlier. He was actually my favorite player, my favorite CFL player, Riders included, for years of probably grade 8, grade 7 to grade 11 was Tracy Ham. I wanted number 8 when I first played football in high school in grade 9. I said, I want Tracy Ham. I want number 8. And they said, you're playing D-line. You're not getting number 8. So then it wasn't until the last 2 years when I got to play quarterback, I didn't even have a sniff at that number. But I loved Tracy Ham and what he did. And then I remember going through, like, this is a little bit later, loved Casey Printers, watching him play. And it's guys from other teams, like you said. This weekend, though, we expect Trey Ford? I know Jake Dolagala went in for Hamilton there. Looked a little bit maybe shaky, but I'd be surprised with the success he's had against the Riders and hear that we don't see young Trey Ford.
Yeah, I would think that would be the logical path for them to go, or maybe use Jake in some plays where the packages are what he's more comfortable with. I mean, they're two such different styles. Jake has pretty good mobility for someone who's 6'7", but I mean, Trey Ford is a skill set that very few possess. Why not take advantage of that? And especially when there's not a lot of recent film on him, that could be a tough one to coach against, especially if you've been if you've been thinking, okay, we're going to play Bo, this is what we're going to expect. Well, whatever you were expecting out of the Hamilton offense probably is off the board now. That presents a bit of a coaching challenge.
Have you watched any of the World Cup, or are we just watching Canada, or are you getting into it at all?
I watch it when my wife has it on, and I happen to be walking by the TV. I'm not a real soccer person. If Wales qualifies again for the third time, I'll be more interested. My dad was born in Neath, Glamorganshire, Wales. So that'll be my World Cup team, even when Wales makes it for the third time.
It's I'm into it. I can't believe how many soccer games I've watched over the last 3 weeks that it's been going on. And then I said, now I know what it feels like when people from other countries get wrapped up into the Olympic hockey or into the Four Nations Cup. I'm like, that's me in soccer. I was in. I'm in. Now I'm watching Switzerland and Colombia, and we're into extra time. If people are taping this game, close your ears. It's 0-0. They keep showing the crowd. A lot of Colombian fans.
Well, I've got the MLB app on my phone where I can listen to every radio broadcast of every game. And once baseball season gets here, a lot of my leisurely sports following that doesn't involve the Rough Riders is just listening to whatever baseball games are on my phone. And that's a lovely companion for 6 months a year. Too bad about the Mets.
Very relaxing listening to baseball over the radio. It's like golf. I've listened to the majors driving as well. It's very, very relaxing. All right, Rob. Well, maybe we'll see you and Candy at the tailgate on Sunday.
Well, she puts a tail in tailgate, doesn't she? So
there we go.
And she's so cute. What a beautiful dog.
Yeah. All right, we got to bring her back in the
we got to do the next one in studio, Barney.
Okay. Well, next week, hopefully you make time for us on Tuesday. We'll recap things. Thanks for doing this again, Rob.
Always a pleasure, Barney. Thanks so much. Thanks, Curtis. Take care.
Yeah, there he is, Rider historian, Rob Vanstone. Gee, I love those conversations. And I know he spews so much knowledge on different things. The plane crashing in, Curtis, that you pulled up the picture into Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Jeez. Rider historian, Rob Vanstone on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Before we go to break, I teased that you want to win $100 from Pump Jack's Cathedral Trivia. Let's go with Pump Jack's Cathedral Trivia right now.
It's time for SportsCage Trivia for Pump Jacks. Great food, cold local draft, and a place that feels like home.
Great place before, after a game. Lots of taps. I think the chicken fingers are the best in Western Canada. And I love the Curl and Crispy Ribs. Pump Jack's Cathedral. Okay, so you got to call in. This is a call-in segment of the show. You cannot text in the answer. Playing for $100. You're going to come on the line with us after the break. That's how we're going to do it. Okay? Here's the question. Giving you guys ample time to get warmed up. Which nation has participated in every edition of the World Cup? 936-6262. 306-936-6262 or toll free 1-866-767-0620. Call now. Play Pump Jack's Cathedral Trivia. We'll hopefully get a winner when we come back.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. Rent a water heater and water softener starting at about $1.20 a day and get $400 when you switch to Reliance Heath.
What a game earlier at the World Cup today. Argentina defeats Egypt 3-2. They move on. It's Switzerland and Colombia. It looks like it's going into penalty kicks right now. Oh, exciting. Western Canadian Baseball League tonight. Regina's in Moose Jaw, Okotoks in Saskatoon, and Swift is in Brooks. Blue Jays in San Fran. They got dummied last night, 10-1. That's the team's third straight loss. And in the NHL, Claude Giroux re-signs a one-year deal in Ottawa. The tickers for Reliance Heath. Rent a water heater and softener together for $1.20 a day. Call on Reliance Heath. Pump Jacks Cathedral. We're going out on the line. Jeff is joining us playing along. All right, Jeff, you're playing for $100 at Pump Jacks Cathedral. Here is the question. Which nation has participated in every edition of the World Cup?
Oh, man, this is a tough one. I think I'm wrong, but I'm going to say England.
That's a good guess. That's probably where I would have went. Unfortunately, Jeff, wrong. You're still going to win a free lunch to Pump Jacks Cathedral. The correct answer is Brazil. Brazil has participated in each one. So, Jeff, thanks for playing. Stay on the line. Curtis is going to get your information. And you get a free lunch. Like I said, Pump Jacks Cathedral. That means we're playing for 150 next Tuesday. 150 big ones. It's a lot of chicken fingers at Pump Jacks Cathedral, 13th and Albert. We're going to break. Coming back, Arash Madani and World Hockey Report's Cody Janzen in hour 2. It's a Sports Cage for Sask Lotteries on this Tuesday. Welcome back to the Sports Cage on this Tuesday. Curtis is with me. We're waiting for Arash Madani. We'll get into that in a bit. I lied to everybody out there. I thought it was going into penalty kicks. It's not. The Swiss and Colombians are still running up and down the field. 95 minutes. 0-0. What a game. What a soccer game going on in Vancouver.
Barney the Dirty Liar, though. Classic.
Yeah, big liar. big guy full of lies. Love it. We're having fun here today. Sask Lotteries. Hey, how about the Saskatchewan Rough Rider Foundation 50-50 early bird prize? Now we're talking. The deadline is Friday at 10 p.m. for the early bird prize. So you're going to buy your 50-50s anyway. You might as well get in the mixer for the early bird. It's a London escape for two. All jokes aside, not London, Ontario. London, England. 7 nights. 3-star hotel, which is good over there. You got a Hello London tour, London by Night bus tour, Stonehenge, Kensington Palace. I'm taking this. You can, if you don't want to, if you're not like me, if you don't want to go over there, because if you go to and it's hot, you might not like it. And they don't have ice in their drinks there. It's kind of weird. You can take $9,000 cash.
No ice in the drinks, no AC.
Europe and is bad for ice and AC too. I've never gone in the summer. That'd royally suck. $9,000 cash if you don't want. Rider 50-50. Riders 50-50.ca.
Was that a joke, by the way? That would royally suck, you know? Because
I'm not that quick-witted.
No,
I'm not that quick-witted. Start of the show, and when Arash comes on, we'll get talking to him too. Some good texts have come in on the Prairie Land Rentals text line.
It's been a good show for engagement.
Smart listeners, good listeners. Randy, you had me, then you lost me on the YouTube chat. He's like, he loved watching Barney as a child. Jeez.
That is a little bit funny, not going to lie.
No.
I find it entertaining. You got one vote.
Andrew in Battleford's back at it because we talked about, I said, was I the only guy cheering for the USA against Belgium? I was in the States at a tavern hanging out. The day before I was there I was with family too. And they were cheering for Canada. A lot of them. Canada, yeah, go, woo. And then the next day, I'm in there. I'm cheering for the USA. It's great atmosphere. So much fun. But then I go into social media and everyone's like, boo, Americans, hate them. And I'm like, Belgium? I'm like, they're our neighbors. They're down there. We like going there. We like hanging out with them. I live there. Some of my best friends. Some of the most influential people in my life are actually from there. And I was like, why? Is it the inferiority complex? I don't get it. So Andrew in Battleford, is kind of going back 4-4, or him and I. He said, don't get me wrong, America's one of the best countries. I'm just put off by their extreme patriotism and didn't care for Trump's interference with FIFA. Arash, I want to get into this too. The patriotism I love. I was 4th of July. I've spent 18 of the last 20 years down there right after my birth. The fireworks, they are nuts for their fireworks. They are crazy. We went to the fireworks the show, and then we couldn't leave because everyone's sending them off on the street that we were on. And I'm just like, well, just sit and watch more fireworks. So the patriotism, but aren't a lot of countries like that? I want to say the FIFA and the Trump thing. I read something yesterday. And is Arash there? Is he listening to this already? Okay. I read something yesterday that it's like that he tarnished the great game. And I was like, have you read about FIFA and the corruption and everything they've done? Great game, FIFA. Get out of here. FIFA is a walking dumpster fire. And they probably took that call from Trump and was like, I don't think it swayed anything because the call was wrong. They changed it. That was the perfect play. I think it takes the stones to change something like that. The Trump thing, though, I'd like, yeah, the guy's an idiot. He's got no filter, says whatever. Then that comes out. So, yeah, I don't really care that much about it. I don't think it influenced anything. And FIFA is corrupt. So who knows? Let's talk about it with Arash.
It's time to go coast to coast with Arash Madani for Smart Investing Solutions. Be smart with your money. Call Brian Gawley at Smart Investing Solutions, 546-2533.
Okay, let's bounce around that. Ooh, what's the tarp all about? Were you playing street hockey somewhere?
I was pretending to play tennis. Pretending.
I heard you're a good tennis player.
My backhand is an adventure. That's what I call that, Barney. And today was affirmation of just what an adventure that backhand is.
It's my tee shots on the golf course.
Yes.
It's like a full body dry heave, is what I say.
You look rested. You look relaxed. You look like you've had a week vacation, my man.
Okay, we're gonna bounce around here a bit. Let's start here. First off, the great state of Montana. Beautiful. Have you ever been into the Glacier National Park area?
I've only heard great things.
Oh, it's getting a little busy. Going in the summer, maybe not the best play. Beautiful. But the most beautiful thing, besides the fact that some taverns have poker in the evenings, and I like playing like live poker. I'm in. The Blue Moon, Columbia Falls. Anyone knows where I'm talking about? You get it.
I'll join you next year.
Some of the little casino things where they have the slappers, the VLTs, they have sports betting, like the terminals, like Las Vegas, Montana. They got it figured out. So once I sniff out, what's that thing? Wait a minute, what? And I'm walking closer and closer to this. I'm like, are you kidding me? So boom, every day there was a World Cup bet placed, and I came out ahead. I came out ahead.
Yes. Mr. Blue Jays, Mr. Soccer.
The Blue Jays screwed me one night, by the way, on another bet.
Yeah, well, they've been screwing a lot of people for a lot of nights. I've been invited to a bunch of, I don't ski, but I've been invited to like ski weekends, ski chalet weekends in Montana, and I'm like, well, makes no sense for me to go. Oh. But wait a minute. I can go.
Yeah.
Crush pints.
Yes.
Play poker.
Yes.
Bet football in November, December, January.
Call me when you're going.
Yeah.
It's I can make it in 8 hours. The wife and I, we know a way that we can make it in 8 hours. And if not, if the roads are going to be bad, we'll drive to Williston. We'll hop on the Amtrak and we'll take the train. Choo choo. Boom.
And I'll have the Cabernet Sauvignon waiting for Mrs. S.
Yeah. Good on you. Okay, so here's the part that I'm sitting there, Arash, in these two different taverns, and I'm just loving it. Watching the Canada game, Morocco, and all the Americans around me, and they know I'm Canadian. There's some other Canadians there because people are traveling there,
Sure.
and they're like, "Yeah, we're in on Canada. We want Canada." Like they're fan, right? I'm like, awesome. They love it. Our neighbors up north, we're smaller, we're cute, we kind of have some nice things. They like to come visit, and our dollar, it goes a long way when they come up here. Anyway, the next day, I'm back at a different one watching the U.S. game. I'm all stars and stripes. I'm cheering for the Americans, for our neighbors. I'm in. And then I go on social media, and I go to my social media, and I go there. The amount of people that just despise, and they were rooting for Belgium, and I'm like, okay. And then I started. This is where we go sideways. Both times, I'm like, so what do you guys all think? I think it was mostly guys. What do you think about the Canadian Football League? They're all love it. Watch it once in a while. I'll just love. And right away, the names that come up: Warren Moon, Doug Flutie. Yep. I went into a Cameron Wake thing, Jeff Garcia. Yeah, but they're like, oh, love it, the movement and the big field. And I'm like, yeah, you can run a post pattern from the one. They're like, yeah, they love it. And I say, I go both times because you're like me. You like to ask people questions. And I said, you guys ever think like a CFL team would work around here, maybe just across the border, like Fargo into Montana? And they're like, no. They're like, no, don't be stupid. I said, they love it. They love our game. They love watching. They're like, no. And
let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
Here, right?
And I'm like, I'm like, thank you for the affirmation. And I'm like, I think the same way. And they're like, the other football leagues don't work. College, high school, a lot of places, and the NFL. Don't try and do anything. But they love watching our game. And then I asked them, I said, do you know how many teams are in the CFL? And the odd guy's like, oh, I know there's a team Vancouver, there's Lions. And the guy from Texas, that's his accent. That's my Texas accent. He's like, oh,
terrible Texas accent.
There's Montreal guy.
I was in a lobby bar in Chicago back when I was covering the Blue Jays, and game ends, whatever, and come back to the hotel, flip open the laptop, having a nightcap, got the Rough Riders at that time. Yeah, Rough Riders were in Edmonton. So the bartender comes over, sitting at the bar, got the laptop open. He's like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching Canadian Pro Football. And he kind of looks over at my laptop, watched it for a little while, and looks at me and he says, all your teams wear green up there?
You should have screwed with them. Yes. Mandated. Yes. It's like the CRTC, the government tells us we have to play this much Canadian music and we all have to dress the same when we play football. The football is the only sport.
Color of money. We're all wearing green.
I thought it was so, like I said, enlightening. It was like, and then see, people are texting in, and a lot of guys in the golf tournament I was in, every day I got this question because some of the flag sticks are American flags. I learned my first year, 17 years ago, you pull those flags, they have little holders for them, side of the green. You never put it on the ground. I know that. Yep. I lived there. I'm not an idiot. The flag means like so much more to them. Like it or don't, whatever it is, what it is. And they're like, what do you think about our president? I'm like, you know what? We got our own issues. So you guys do you. We're kind of in a recession. We're only, what is it, G7 country?
But in addition to that, we're not solving any of this on the golf course today. So I'll tell you this. Our domestic beer has taste. What do you think of that? We were at the FIBA World Cup one year, the Basketball World Cup. Steve Kerr, I went over to introduce myself to Steve Kerr. I'm like, hey, coach, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be working together next little while. He said, Canadian, huh? I'm like, yeah. He's like people say Canadians are basically like Americans, except you guys have free health care. And I looked at him, I said, and our domestic beer has taste. Oh my God, Kerr nearly fell off his chair, Barney. He loved that. He saw me about a year and a half later. He looked at me, he said, "You're the guy with the beer line." I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy with the beer line.
My buddy lives outside DC in Virginia. We chatted with these other guys we used to play with down there in our chat group about the free healthcare thing, and we both similar wages in life. And then he showed how much he pays for his family for healthcare a year, and obviously I don't. But then he said, "Show me how much you pay for gas and for taxes and all these other things." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly, buddy." Okay, what this World Cup though, as a whole, and all joking aside, I've been watching it, the crowds, everything. Is this the most successful World Cup ever? Not that I know the other ones.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think it's important to distinguish two things. One, there's a difference between Canada hosting and what the Canadian team did. So from a hosting standpoint, Canada, take a bow. We did a terrific job. The scenes, the marches, the stadiums, the enthusiasm. Toronto and Vancouver will get the attention because they were the cities that hosted. But there were viewing parties all over the country. People just wrap their arms around this, engulf themselves in this, fully got into it. Bravo Canada, bravo Canadians. And Barney, you know what? I didn't hear of one arrest. I didn't hear of any windows being smashed. I didn't hear of any fires. I didn't hear of, everybody behaved. Everybody welcomed others. It was fantastic. From a hosting standpoint, we delivered. Now, the bill is going to come in pretty soon. That won't be pleasant. But that's what comes with hosting an event like this. And here you are in Regina as locked in as somebody who went to a game in Toronto, went to a game in Vancouver. People on the East Coast, people on the West Coast, people all over the country. We're all about it. And that's what this is. Now we have to make sure that a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, we need to continue to keep this momentum, to reinvest into our grassroots, to develop the stars of the future generations and really start building off of this, of what we can be. You look around, you see a country like Norway, population under 6 million, into the
Everybody's
quarterfinal.
Rich though.
Everybody's rich, but Barney, population under 6 million, they're in the quarterfinals. They just had the most medals of the Olympics 5 months ago in Milano Cortina. As a country, they have decided this is important to them. Everybody's in lockstep. Everybody wants to be part of this. What are we going to do to build development programs, national training centers, et cetera, et cetera? You think back to Calgary 88 when we hosted an Olympics. You think back to Vancouver 2010, the infrastructure. Let's make sure we do that so that when the bill comes in, we have something to show for it beyond just a 3-week party.
Gameplay wise, I know there was more teams this year. That's the other thing. But, we're in that Morocco game. And again, I don't know soccer from, notes on a piano. But we're right there. And I'm like, oh, we can win this game. Now it falls apart. Jesse Marsh, so passionate, really like the guy. I don't know if you know him. He seems like a dude, like a good, or is there a little bit of a show put on there?
I think it's both. There's no doubt about it that it's both. I would say this, Barney. Canada as a national team, they're faring at this World Cup, was kind of like you and I going into performance review. We weren't below expectations. We certainly didn't exceed expectations, but we met expectations.
Yeah, I'm a middle guy.
You know?
Love it.
Yeah, and look, yes, Canada made history. Yes, we got into the knockout round. Yes, we got to the round of 16. But you look at it, we're ranked 30th in the world. The teams we beat, Qatar and South Africa, are below us in the FIFA rankings. The two teams we lost to, Switzerland and then ultimately Morocco, are above us in the FIFA rankings.
Mm-hmm.
The team we had the draw with, Bosnia, are below us in the FIFA rankings. We met expectations. Now, that's not a negative. It's just the reality of it. We didn't outkick our coverage, but we didn't embarrass ourselves either.
We're even, Steven.
Yeah.
What?
Which after a week in Montana, you'd take.
Don't forget there was 4 days in Ottawa before the Montana.
Right.
Yeah, I need a steam. What about will we ever get the full and truthful story on Alphonso Davies?
No. No. And if we do, it will be so far down the road from now. The will he or won't he? How bad was the hamstring? I did find it amazing that Jesse Marsh defended Alphonso, deflected for Alphonso, lied for Alphonso for like 5 weeks. The moment they were eliminated, he's like, yeah, MRI came back clean. This was Alphonso's decision. Like fully threw him under the bus on why he didn't play on Saturday against Morocco. Funny how that goes, huh? Look, man, like Alphonso makes a lot of money to play for Bayern Munich. That Bayern Munich team just gave somebody 50 million euros to come play the exact same position. Alphonso is thinking about his career. There's nothing wrong with that. My take on it, though, Barney, is it's your prerogative to choose your career over your country. That's fine. But you shouldn't be wearing a captain's armband if that's the case.
I agree. And I think most people would. Last thing on the World Cup, I was going to ask this anyways, but Roscoe texted in on the Prairie Line Rentals text line 936-6262. Get Arash's take on FIFA reversing the red card on the USA player. I think it was the right move.
Oh, no, you're wrong. Oh. Roscoe, great question. Barney's wrong. Barney's dead wrong. Hasn't happened since 1962. Cannot happen. Should not happen. You cannot do that. No matter what it is, you're taking away every piece of integrity of the game. Now, suddenly, England's saying, wait, our guy got a red card. He should play Saturday against Norway.
Why can't there be a review on it?
If you want to make a review on it, set up your policies so you can have a review. You can't, in the middle of a World Cup, arbitrarily, because one government entity calls you as a sport governing body and says, hey, we want our guy to play, then suddenly be like, okay.
I don't think that had anything to do with it. Maybe there was briefcases full of money.
Barney, I think it had 99.99999% to do with it.
No.
Here's my question for you. Let's say it was a Belgian player who made the exact same play and got a red card. And the president of Belgium called the president of FIFA and said, Can you please look into this and review? Are you telling me that De Bruyne suddenly going to be eligible to play in Seattle against the United States?
That's an us problem if our leadership doesn't carry that big stick, I think, or any other countries. But let's go to this then. Let's say for rider people and Sasky, let's say playoffs, one of our guys gets suspended. How do you even get kicked out in football gets a game? The CFL goes and actually reviews it. Oh, he didn't spike him in the throat and neck. We're going to reverse that after the fact. He can play the next game.
Barney,
I think that's great.
Do you know when the last time a red card got, like, the suspension got rescinded?
Didn't you say the 60s?
1962. You're telling me that we've gone 65 years without issue, and this was the only time it should have been reviewed?
Well, I get you on that. Now I can kind of agree on that. But I think it should be a rule going forward in almost any sport. Go and review this stuff. If a referee got it wrong and the video, whatever they call it, they somehow got it wrong, because didn't they slow it down? And you're not allowed to slow down the intent or something like that, I heard. Regardless, go and review it. And when you look at the play, not that I know soccer all that well, I'm like, that guy can't get kicked out for that. Really?
But he did.
And I'm glad they were able to overturn it.
The bottom line is we're changing the rules as we go along that we hadn't done in 65 years.
The rule's always been there. Maybe just no one pushed it enough. They didn't change it. It was always there. It was an old rule.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's an old rule. Got it.
Well, you agree to disagree there. I think it should have been. I love the rule. I love that they took it back. Let's go to the CFL. I think we are both... I'm gutted. I told Rob Vanstone in hour one, gutted for Bo Levi Mitchell.
Well, I'm gutted for Bo Levi Mitchell. I'm gutted for fans of the Canadian Football League. Like, you're talking about a dude who for a season and a half now has been as dominant a player as the league has had, and now you have to believe his season's over. It's amazing how in one play, in one snap, everything can change, not just for a franchise, but the complexion of the league altogether. Now, all of a sudden, to me, Hamilton, who was the team to beat, Hamilton, who was the best team in the East, they're done. Right? Like, Trey Ford, Jake Dolagala, like, no, it's over. So now, suddenly, not only does the East go through Montreal, but suddenly the crossover plays such a huge part of the CFL playoffs in the last year of this format. So now all of a sudden, like, it's not just an East thing, it's not just a Hamilton thing, it's BC, Sask, Calgary, Edmonton. This is all different.
You didn't Winnipeg.
Because That's right. I didn't.
You can change that. We can go back and review it and change it if you want. But no, you didn't do it on purpose.
You know what? I've gone 60 years without rescinding. Rescinding. I'm not going to start now.
So, out of curiosity, when you just mentioned that, I went to sportselect.com to the futures, and the Tiger Cats are still favored above Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Ottawa to win the Grey Cup, even with Bo Levi's ankle in two different places.
Well, our friends at Sports Select are still waiting for the newspaper to come to their door. They haven't quite priced that one in. That's wild, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah. And then Zach Collaros, or Collaros, call him what you want.
Collaros, right.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, didn't even think it was that bad. Or was it his old lineman that maybe kicks him? But yeah, I was like, oh, that's not a good sign if that's all that took him out of the game.
Yeah, and I've tried to get some information on it. All I've basically been told is that we'll find out more on Thursday. So whatever that means, like, you just don't know how these things are. Like, when you watch the play, the defensive lineman grabs the bottom of Zach's jersey below the shoulder. But how he gets how he gets thrown to the ground, how, as you mentioned, the offensive lineman 55 backs into him, blah, 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 blah. How all of this plays out, we just don't know.
You tweeted that you thought Winnipeg really blew it with their roster management at the QB spot with Drew Brown not being available for them.
Like, why did you trade for Drew Brown, a vet, and not even have him on the roster? It's just pure roster mismanagement. This whole thing, he didn't know the offense. Well, he just spent the last 2 years with Tommy Condell, who's your offensive coordinator. It's just bad football across the board.
Even with that said, Phillip Rivers last year, quarterbacks that have played quarterback for a long time, there might be some different verbiage, but there's a set of plays that you can go in and run an offense.
No question. And I want to be careful the way I say this. Winnipeg is fortunate that Bo got hurt. Because if Bo Levi was healthy, they're going to get run out of the gym in that game. It's the fact that the Tiger Cats lost their quarterback too. Like Taylor Elgersma, God bless him, has been in that offense for just whatever it's been, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, including training camp, etc. It's his first taste of professional football. Like, they got away with it. And here's what else we found out. Curtis, why don't we play this clip? This is on CJOB's post-game show. Derek Taylor asking Mike O'Shea. This is as thin-skinned and as, I don't know, ridiculous an answer from a head coach being questioned. Like, how dare anyone question the king? Curtis, why don't we play this clip?
I have to ask you, leaving Drew Brown off the roster for this game, was it the right decision, do you believe?
It's a decision we had to make.
Sorry, you say you had to make.
Well, I mean, you're going to throw a guy in there with less of a playbook?
I would argue Taylor Elgersma had probably less of a playbook, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
You can argue all you want, DT. This is the decision we made. We won the game.
2-2 going home on a short week. What does a short week look like for you guys?
No, one practice. We're good.
All right, Mike.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. He's the head coach, Mike O'Shea.
Gee.
That's on your rights holder. That's after a win. Like this, how dare you question the king, our decision? Ridiculous. You're exposed and you're tripling down on your decision. And Derek asked a fair question that a fan base deserves to know the answer to. That's all.
I think the bonus points is at the very end, just the goodbye and the throw the headset on the desk. Wachunk.
Curtis, the audio engineer, hears that. He's like, no, don't wreck those headsets. Those are expensive.
Wachunk.
But the thing is, they had Bryce Perkins on the roster in that game as the third quarterback. So why don't you put Drew Brown?
Which tells you all they think about Bryce Perkins, doesn't it? I hope Bryce didn't sign a lease or buy a house in Winnipeg.
He's living above Silver Heights, I heard.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a great clip.
I hope he's paying rent and game tickets.
Good find. Okay, that was good today, buddy. After your tennis match.
Good today.
Yeah,
good, absolutely.
A good disagreement.
Glad to see you back. Yes.
Hey, and then you plan that ski trip to Big Mountain.
Will.
You know who owns Big Mountain and Whitefish Lake? I think he still does anyway. Bill Foley, owner of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah.
If it wasn't Bill, I was gonna assume it was Jeffrey from Calgary.
No, but dude, have you ever looked up Bill Foley's Montana Ranch on YouTube or anywhere? If you haven't, and anybody out there,
there's a little bit of land there.
Yeah. He's got like a general store on his ranch, midway through the golf course. Different ballpark, man. Okay, talk to you Thursday, bud.
All right, bud. Thanks, man.
Cheers. Arash Madani, Coast to Coast with Arash, brought to you by Brian Golly. Smart investing solutions. Good stuff. All right. Let's go to break. Sports Cage. 4 Saskatchewan lotteries on this Tuesday, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com.
The Sports Cage Clutch Performer for Keln Solar. Thinking about saving money by using solar power? Keln Solar is a local family company that can put solar panels on your home, business, or farm. KelnSolar.com.
Colombia and Switzerland, clutch performers. Is it going in? I think it's going into penalty kicks now. Whew, I'll keep you updated. That's clutch. But the other one that I wanted to point out today, Toronto Raptors and Kyle Lowry. Signed a 1-day contract to retire.
What's up, y'all? Just wanted to send y'all a message. I'm super excited to retire as a Toronto Raptor. The fans, y'all mean the world to me. Everything about being able to sign my 1-day contract, fulfilling the things that I told y'all I was going to do, it means the world to me. I just appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Not a huge basketball guy, but that guy, he's legendary in Toronto, basketball fans. Clutch performer for Keln Solar, Lumsden, Saskatchewan. If it's solar you're thinking, Keln Solar is your one call. Family-run business, again, in Lumsden, Saskatchewan. Okay, from a little bit of basketball, let's talk hockey. Holy, has there been hockey news from the NHL, free agency, and everything over the last week? I've been keeping track online and what's going on, and I'm like, well, I gotta bring back our boy Cody Janzen from the World Hockey Report. Excellent follow on Twitter. Get on there and let these guys chirp. They go at, I like it. They go after guys. Cody, thanks so much for making some time again today. Right out of the gate, Daniel Briere, is he psychotic, or is this a baller move?
Yeah, that's a guy who isn't interested in making any friends. So psychotic. Maybe. I think it is the way of the NHL GMs going forward, though. It's cutthroat. You see it with the players. They're more killer instinct. Briere's kind of taking a little bit of that and putting some salt and pepper on it, too. So I love it.
Explain to the average listener out there that doesn't really get what we're talking about. It's Leo Carlsson, who's a property of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Now, you can correct me, too, where I'm wrong here, but he's a restricted free agent. So he's played out as kind of his rookie contract. Now Anaheim still holds his rights for the most part, but they don't sign him, which means other teams can throw out an offer to him, but there's huge repercussions if he does sign with that other team back to Anaheim. Like, how do you explain it for the casual fan, this unrestricted free agent?
Oh, you literally brought on like the dumbest person ever to explain this. Okay, so a restricted free agent, you play out your 3-year entry-level deal, and then Anaheim was kind of sitting on their hands, didn't get a new contract done for Leo Carlsson, and so other teams in the NHL can offer sheet him. Obviously, Carlsson and his agent have to sign off on that, and so he did because he got the $18 million per year deal, but if Anaheim says, all right, take it, and so Philly actually signs him, which Anaheim has 7 days to respond to that, then Philly has to give up 4 first-round picks, their next 4 first-round picks to Anaheim.
The more I listen to, different shows and pods, and because Leo Carlsson made me good money in this playoffs with anytime points for Anaheim. I was like, I keep hitting this. Whoever this Leo Carlsson guy is, he is bringing it in. He's a big Swede, though, and people are saying he is going to be a number 1 center if he isn't already. He is a guy that you can build around and go forward. Is that, though, worth 4 first rounders and making him the highest paid player in the game?
1,000,000%.
Really?
Barney, he's a number 1 center at 21 years old. He's played 3 years in the NHL. He's a point per game guy in the regular season and the playoffs now, and he can shut down any top line in the NHL. I just don't see a world in which there's a more valuable 21-year-old in the league right now. It seems crazy at the point, but I think we'll look at this in 5 years and he'll be the 15th highest paid player. And you'll be like, yeah, makes sense. The cap keeps going up. The TV deals keep going up. So when it's a $140 million salary cap and you've got Macklin Celebrini making $21 million and all these guys on ridiculous deals, $18 million for the number one center in the Eastern Conference potentially if he goes to Philly in a couple of years, pretty damn good deal.
What do you think that what kind of worms does this open up when like Bedard and Celebrini are due?
So Celebrini's the interesting one. Bedard's weird where I don't know if you want to pay a guy that much in a sense of you need him to bring a little bit more. Great hockey player, but like has Minnesota kind of capped themselves with Kaprizov? I'd say so a little bit. Celebrini is a completely different case. That kid's an absolute stud. Just a weapon. He's going to be a great captain for 15 plus years. I think Elliot Friedman, though, said on 32 Thoughts, and that guy's kind of just the insider of all insiders. He said no chance San Jose lets this one get to July 1st because Mike Greer knows what'll happen. So I don't think he's going to get an offer sheet or see one in his lifetime because he'll get treated fairly and he'll have max contract offers for sure.
Yeah, Pat Verbeek is kind of looking like a bit of a Munson here, from what I understand, letting Carlson get to this point. Celebrini, would that be next year?
Well, I've heard the owners have a little bit of say in that too, because $20 million up front in signing bonus. I don't know. There's a lot of rumblings in the hockey world that the owners might have said, like, how badly do we need this guy? Or what can we do with these fourth round picks? And so I think that there's a little conversation from Verbeek and the people a couple of stairs up from him saying, what else can we do that's not going to cost us $20 million on Sunday? They're kind of looking at some cheaper golf courses here this weekend.
Don't be cheap. Yeah, don't cheap out. Isn't it Coward always says don't cheap out on toilet paper and transportation? Two things you should never and first round picks. Hey, are the Toronto Maple Leafs, like, how much better are they of a team as we sit here on July 7th than when we talked before?
Their forwards are good. Their forwards are better. I like Roslovic. I think he's bound to have a better year than last year. Gavin McKenna's a weapon. Like, he's put him with Austin Matthews. And I think that their players, their top end guys had a down year. And so what goes down probably should come up. I still worry about their defense, though. I don't know if I fully trust that, the goaltending situation. So they're going to push for a playoff spot. Wouldn't surprise me if they're in that wild card hunt, but I don't think the Toronto Maple Leafs are a serious contender. I think you're kidding yourself if you're putting them in that category.
When Bobrovsky gets signed, and I'm like, get it. Dude won a couple cups. He's, now we're kind of we're going into 3 years, almost past the first one. I'm like, but he's old. And I'm like, everything comes crashing down. You turn the wrong way at 38, goalie or not.
Yeah, he's old. He didn't have an amazing year. There's some injury issues there. I get it, man. He was so clutch in the playoffs. Anyone who watched those series with Florida, like, he had some phenomenal years. But that's still in the past to some extent. And I don't know. He could be the answer. He might be better than what they've had, obviously. But I don't look at that and be like, oh, man, Bobrovsky makes the Leafs a legit contender. No, they're lucky if they get in the playoffs.
I think a guy that can't catch a break, Stu Skinner. Am I correct there?
Yeah, that's and the guy's grinded so hard to get up there. Like, you see, he has this unbelievable run in Swift Current, like just an absolute junior career finisher. And then the next year, he's just on the Iron Lung in the East Coast Hockey League for 50 games. And then he works his way up to the American League. And then he gets up to the NHL. And he has a couple really solid years, like 9-10, 9-12. Someone can fact check me, but some really good years. And then all of a sudden it starts to spiral a little bit, and a couple of playoff performances maybe get in his head. And then he goes to Pittsburgh, and it was good at the start, and then it fails. And now he's in Winnipeg. I don't think they're giving him $4 million to be a backup, but until they find a suitor for Connor Hellebuck, Stuart Skinner could be sitting on a pretty cold bench in Winnipeg.
Okay, last thing I wanted to ask you about, because I thought this was a move as well. This kind of came in before anything else. Jason Robertson saying no to Seattle and $15 million for 8 years.
That feels like someone turning down Live Golf at this point. It just shows how little of respect a team like Seattle has in the NHL world. Like, no one looks at that roster and they're like, that's where I want to be for the next 8 years. And I think that is a huge statement. And meanwhile, I do actually believe that Jason Robertson probably wants to smooth things out and stay in Dallas because he's looked at other situations and he's like, maybe not exactly where I want to be. It is just insane to me that Seattle can throw $30 million at someone and they're like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll stick it out here. I'll figure things out for a third of the money.
Okay, we got 35 seconds here. What are you waiting for? What's the thing that you're waiting for to happen? Is it Hellebuck?
It's got to be Hellebuck. He's going to happen before Larkin, and I'm very curious as to see where he ends up. Hearing Elliott say Colorado's in the mix, that would be crazy. But I think he goes out east.
Always a pleasure, Cody. Thanks so much. Great follow. Let's do this. It may be later this week. If something comes down, keep your phone handy. Thanks for doing this.
Anytime, Barney.
Right on. World Hockey Report, Cody Janzen. Follow them on X, on Twitter. Excellent follow, like I said, in the hockey realm. And they've been dabbling in a little bit of, I think, World Cup as well, too. It's the Sports Cage, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sport, 1425 McIntyre Street, the Cooperator Center, Moose Jaw Temple Garden Center, and online at extremehockey.net.
Unreal in Vancouver. The Swifts in penalty kicks over Colombia. They advance. Earlier today, Argentina defeated Egypt in a thriller, 3-2. Western Canadian Baseball League tonight in Moose Jaw. Regina's in town. In Saskatoon, Okotoks visits, and Swift Currents in Brooks. Blue Jays are in San Fran after getting abused 10-1 yesterday. The team's third loss in a row, 10 of their last 13 they've dropped. And NHL news, Claude Giroux resigns in Ottawa. Ticker is for Extreme Hockey and Sport, more than hockey, baseball and lacrosse. Get this right now, year-end Progressive Baseball sales on. Save 10% on your first item, 15 on your second, 20 on your third, and 25 on your fourth item and every item after. Score big on bats, gloves, helmets, training gear, and more from Extreme Hockey and Sport, where they're thinking baseball. Let's go out right now and chat with Brian Raymond. Brian Raymond, Flowing Springs Golf Course. I came back yesterday, Brian, from being gone for 10 days. All that rain we had, the lawn, everything is lush. It's a great time to get out and play golf.
Oh, no question about it. The greens are perfect. The fairways are immaculate. It's just so much fun to go out and play right now. When you hit the greens and they're soft, they'll hold. You're right. It's a nice time to play.
Let's go through the specials. Tomorrow is Wednesday, a nice one for seniors and ladies.
That's right. If you're over 60 or if you're a female, you can come out and play the golf course for just $42 all day. After 3 o'clock every day, it's only $40.50 to play. And after 6, it's $23.50 to come out and play the golf course. And right now, you can easily get in for sure 9 holes and probably close to 18 holes, depending on how fast you are. Just some great deals here. Of course, right now until the end of the month, if you come out and pay for a green fee, we will give you a $25 gift certificate towards any of our Skechers shoes. And I have some more coming in. If you don't have sizes right now, we certainly will shortly.
God, that is some wheeling and dealing out there. But Brian, people can call, book online if they want to take advantage and get out there and swing them.
Absolutely. Give us a call at 543-5050, or you can book online at flowingspringsgolf.com. But you don't have to book to use our driving range. You can use it anytime.
That's right. Yeah, grass driving range. You're not hitting off mats, hurting your knee. You get the grass there as well. All right, Brian. We will chat again on Thursday.
Absolutely. Take care.
There you go. Brian Raymond, Flowing Springs Golf Course. The deals. If you're thinking of playing, casual player just starting, or if you want to get out with the ladies or the guys, excellent deals. And they run the deals 7 days a week at Flowing Springs. Curtis, have you ever golfed?
No, I've never golfed.
You've
actually.
never actually golfed.
Yeah, I've been to a driving range before, and I've done some putting, but I've never actually done like an actual like game of golf. Golf sim was very bad at it, but no actual golf.
You should rip out to Flowing Springs, go to that driving range. It's great, right? It's huge, good grass, and maybe grab yourself a couple of pints and just sit there and hit a basket of eggs.
I might, and go shake Brian Raymond's hand. I say, I've heard so much about you. I finally want to meet the great man.
And you might get hooked, where then you're like, I might go out and play 9.
I'd do it. You want to take me golfing? I'd do it one day.
No, I'll let you go to the range yourself first to see.
I need a vet to teach me.
Yeah, I'm not lessons guy. That's the last thing.
Or maybe I need some maybe I need a little bit of chirping to kind of get into the competitive spirit.
You definitely don't. Every time I chirp you, you shut down.
Yes.
For like 3 or 4 days.
It's okay. Don't chirp me at something I feel like I'm good at. You can chirp me if I'm like genuinely terrible. That's fine.
Good. How many times we've got some text messages to get through on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. But the USA debate, which we can talk more with Glen Suitor in hour 3. USA right now goes to the bottom of any less thanks to Trump. Mega, my view and opinion. Darcy from Melville. A lot of people think that. Don says, I was cheering for Team USA. I wasn't sad when they lost. So he was cheering for him. He wasn't sad. Somebody else saying he hates the president. That's why. Once he croaks, all that. That is kind of the reoccurring theme here. Kevin in Regina, haircut thing, thanks. Yeah. You got down to the woods. It's a summer cut season. And Dean also, this one I wanted to get in. Riders need to find a way to keep Jackson Ford on the field. He just makes plays. Dean in Regina. That's right. He does. Okay. Glen Suitor in hour 3. More of your texts, 936-6262. Let's get uncomfortable. Some more talk about the U.S. and why they cheer for us, but we can't cheer for them, or most of us. I do, of course. We got Sprinkle of the Day coming up in hour 3 as well. So if you got any good sprinkles, let me know. Here we go. It's SportsCage. We're back with Glen Suitor in hour 3 coming up. It's good to be back. Show's been fun. Curtis doing a job over there. All the regulars that are texting in, top notch. I said we were going to get uncomfortable today, and we have a little bit, but we're debating. We're conversing. Mind you, over text message, Prairie Land Rentals text line, 936-6262. Majority by far are coming in saying they don't hate the U.S. and USA. They hate the leadership there. Understandable. For sure. Dion in Regina, he goes off on a bit. It's a little bit long, so I can't read it all. It's hard to read when there's a lot going on our system here. But he says 200%, it was Trump's call to FIFA that let the American player play. Arash agreed. I don't think so, but okay. I can be wrong. And you guys are allowed your opinion. I get that. The one thing I don't agree with Dion on. Dion's a great texter. He's knowledgeable. He says, remember it's America's 250th anniversary playing into this too. Yes, I was there everywhere. Very patriotic. I'm so happy Belgium smoked them. Not because I hate America, but because it's the cocky American sports fans who think they are invincible, especially hockey. No, I'm going to stop Dion right there, and I'm going to rebuttal. When I moved down there and went down there, I was the cockiest Canadian hockey player as a teen, for sure. We are right up there for cocky sports fans as Canadians when it comes to hockey. I know that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Take yourself out, move over there, and just listen and watch how we act when it comes to hockey. We are awful. For many, many, many years, when the World Junior Tournament was a 3-pony race and we would beat teams 12-1, and we had pulling the jersey out and jumping into the glass as we scored our 13th goal on Lithuania. We are, let's not be hypocritical. We are so cocky as Canadians when it comes to hockey. We got taken down a few pegs in the last year or so. So, Dion, appreciate you texting in. Agree with almost everything, and we can disagree too, but I'll just say that. Most countries, when it comes to, I'm sure Argentinians, they're really good at soccer. Brazilians, they have a little bit of cock in their walk when it comes to their sport. Australia, and it comes to Australian rules football, their name's in it. Cricket, what's the top? India, I'm sure those guys roll up when the cricket starts, and they got a little swagger. The Indian cricket players. So yeah, we're there. We are right there when it comes to cocky sports fans. What? And we kind of are like that a little bit when it comes to the Riders when they win.
The take a shot every time Barney says cocky and then forgets the Y in the segment here.
Don't be a child.
I'm
also
okay, whatever.
Also, Dion from Regina. There's no way the Bombers trade Brown anywhere. They'll put Claris on a 6-game list, rest him up, so he's ready for the playoffs. Plus, but they might not make the playoffs. Plus, they have QBs making starter salaries, saves in some cap space, and releasing one of their 4 QBs. I think anything's possible trade-wise there. Hey, midnight move Terry Wilson signed with Montreal. Speaking of guys that bolted out of Winnipeg, yeah, he's bringing in. Bert, I don't know the exact number, but there are a lot that do not like the leadership as well, as I found out. You would think it would be very pro, but there's a lot on the other side of it as well. That not loved everywhere. That's for sure. Okay, 936-6262. Keep the text messages coming. Keep them short so I can read them. Let's get into it with Glen Suitor.
Time now for press coverage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glen Suitor on the Sports Cage. Brought to you by Freeze Tallman Lumber, locally owned, family grown, rooted in our community for 70 years in Regina and Fort Capel.
Okay, have you been listening to the whole show, sir?
Well,
what are you laughing at?
Well, first of all, I'm loving some of these texts because, and I agree with you on so many levels when it comes to how cocky we are about hockey. And I think about the World Juniors, and when Canada doesn't win, how everybody is beside themselves crazy about what happened and why and all of those things. I do want to know this also, listening earlier. I wonder if Mark Carney is a Rider fan, because if he is, and the Riders have someone thrown out of a game, he could just pick up the phone, make a quick call to Stuart Johnson and say, "Hey, now, come on, you want a playoff game? We need our guy back. Let's go."
That's interesting you say that, because the debate of Trump calling FIFA, which I don't know if you heard earlier, and I read a tweet yesterday that say are tarnishing our great game, and I'm like, FIFA is the most corrupt organization in the history of the world.
Too late.
There's no
too late.
Tarnishing what? Arash and I had a good little back and forth there, but then I was thinking, I'm like, if it was Canada in that situation, and Mark Carney picks up the phone and calls FIFA, A, do they answer? And B, are they like, hey, aren't you that crazy guy that was dancing with his elbows up with his wife? That, like, we're not talking to you. You're blatant. You're just right out weird, man. That dance did enough for people to just hang up. But did you catch where it all started, Glenn? There's been some good debate. I was watching the Canada game in Whitefish, or maybe it's Columbia Falls, and it was great. And the American, and they were cheering for us. They're like, no, I don't want Morocco to win. We want Canada. Perfect. The next day, I'm in there and I'm cheering for the Americans, which I've done before in hockey as well when they're taking on somebody else, and that's fine. And then I'm just online and I'm like, oh boy, I am so in the minority on people that can root for our neighbor against another team. I feel I'm so, but then I started asking these guys, because I like curious on both fronts, what do you think about the Canadian Football League? And both times, love it. Love watching it. It's so cool. The movement, the size of the field. And these guys just go on and on and on and on about how they love watching our game. Then I ask, hey, do you ever think a team would work? I mean, we're close to the border here, all that. And then they look at me like my elbows are up and I'm a weirdo. They're like, no. they're like, no, don't get crazy, because it's college football and it's the NFL and then high school in a lot of pockets as well. So we got it. And they were like, fine. And I said, do you know how many teams are in the CFL? They had no idea, but they could rattle a few off. At the end of the day, the point of the story, they love watching our game. I don't know about love. Maybe love's a strong word. They like watching our game when it's available to them, and they think it's absolutely cool.
Yeah, and there's lots of those Americans, absolutely. And there's a whole group of Americans that follow their guys, like whether it be a guy who played at USC or Alabama or wherever it is. So they're so entrenched in college football and love that sport. Like, there are millions of football fans in the States that love college football almost ahead of the NFL at times. And, they will follow their guys. Like, so when we bring up a guy from Washington State or Oregon or wherever, and he's playing for the Lions or the Riders, they are fully engaged in watching that guy. And so there's that too. And I'm with you, Barney. Like, I don't think... I think it's a weird time because of the leadership down there. But if you when I would spend time in Nashville with my son when he was in school down there, I mean, I almost bought a place down there. I had a couple of problems. One was I didn't have enough money, but I almost bought a place in Nashville, a little place that we could go because I love the city so much. And that is a real sort of MAGA part of the United States, and a group that at the time were entrenched in thinking that Trump was the answer down there. But we stayed away from politics a lot, and some of the best people I've met on the planet live in Nashville, Tennessee. And I became sort of a Titans fan because I would go down to the tailgating and talk to football fans down there, all of which would love to talk about their favorite Canadian Football League team. And were asking me, when they found out I was in television, they were asking me, how do we get more games? How do we get a chance to watch more games? We think it is just a ton of fun, tons of action, which is why when I come up back to Canada and we're on shows like this and I'm talking about it and defending the excitement level of our game, and people go, oh, you're just cheerleading. You're cheerleading because you're involved and your paycheck depends on it and all of those things. And I'm going, no, I'm telling you about the ex-players that played in the NFL that I played with or have talked to, all of which have great respect for the level of athleticism in our game, the quality of the players, and definitely the quality of the excitement and that full motion and everything you talked about. So I think most people, Barney, are not cheering against the U.S. I think they're our partners. We've gone to war together. We will continue to defend each other. And I think they're just tired of anytime you turn on the TV and see the leadership.
I know, but even when you go back, and I'm gonna disagree, because even when you go back to whether it's Sleepy Joe that was in before, or you can go back to Clinton, or who else was in there. I don't know. There's other guys. I was a little bit young for Reagan, but it's always been there's this inferiority complex of us to them, and I'm just like, how I don't get it. I was cheering for Mexico too. I'm like, I want Mexico to advance. So it's just wild, and how they are like, oh yeah, we're cheering for you guys. We don't want Morocco to win. Like, let's go Canada, right? Like, and then on the other side of it, I'm just like, oh my God, there's people back home that would just lose their minds if they had to cheer for the U.S.
The other thing, Barney, is that in our country, I think there are a lot of people. It's sort of we are so inclusive, Canadians, and trying to bring people in. You know, I agree. We have a level of arrogance when it comes to some of our sports and things, but you know, when you look at the amount of people that were in downtown Vancouver cheering for, you know, I don't know, one of the other countries, Sweden or whatever it was, whomever was playing, and there were thousands of people there from that country. And many of them, most of them, had not traveled in. They live here, so. You know, I think our country has a lot of that. You know, it's multicultural, and there's a lot of, when it comes to like an event like the World Cup, they cheer for their guys. Like if Italy was in it, and I bug my Italian friends here that, you know, where are they? Like,
they wouldn't like that. They don't like that. They're a proud soccer nation.
Yes, they are, and they are not happy with this. But if they were here, downtown Vancouver would have been, you know, honestly, thousands and thousands of people cheering for Italy. So you know, I don't know. I think it was a cool event to bring people together, and there were no incidents really, which is outstanding. People came together. I think it's great.
I love it. I think it's been. I can't believe that I got so wrapped up into it. No, like I said, yes, the odd little sprinkle here and there to make it interesting. But I was right into it, and I was like, I'm all on this Canada thing. And you're a 10 out of 10 patriotic Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
I'd hover more in that. I would probably be more in that 6.5 to 7. I can admit it. I fully admit. But I was like, come on. And we're so good in that game. And then we just kind of ran out of steam, and things don't go our way at the end. But just the World Cup in general, I'm like, I can't believe how wrapped up I am into soccer. But then, taking myself out of it, I'm like, this is how people feel about hockey a lot of times when it's the Four Nations or the Olympics, and they get wrapped up in the sport that they have no idea about. Curling. Like, some countries will get wrapped up into curling, and they don't know the first thing about curling like we do here. We're so hardcore. So I was all in, yeah. And these watch parties, it made me, my wife and I were talking about this because she played soccer and she likes the game. We were talking about, you know, it would have kind of been cool now. Like, we should have maybe planned to go, or maybe drive there and just take it in. And it was off the charts. Canada did a great job. I thought the U.S., like the facilities that they were in the U.S., even in Canada, and then Mexico, like top-notch facilities. And I think I heard this somewhere else, where it's like, you think about the U.S. hosting something like that, it's like because they have the infrastructure. They don't got to build a bunch of, and then it's, you know, weeds collecting dust after. Where, you know, you put the Olympics in a lot. You see some of the pictures of Sochi, I think it is, where they build everything for the Olympics, and now it looks like Chernobyl.
Yeah, well, there is legacy left here in Vancouver from the Olympics. I know even the drive from Vancouver to Whistler was completely fixed just for the Olympics, but that's legacy that goes on for, you know, a long time. I think to maybe bring perspective, if we were in the Olympics in hockey and Canada was eliminated early and the U.S. was playing Sweden, would we cheer for the U.S.? Would Canadians cheer for the U.S. at that time?
No, I think a lot of people are. entrenched in no way, Jose. I'm not sure. I would be. I'd be like, yeah, and I love Sweden. I thought Stockholm was the most beautiful city I've ever been to in my life. But no, I'd cheer for the U.S. before Sweden. That's just me. That's just me. And we have a great football game. We know that, and they love watching it and all that. Let's get into our league and the last week. Talking to Arash also earlier and Rob Vanstone. The Bo Levi Mitchell, you hate to see it. I have no doubt, not that I know the guy or have know the ankle injury he had. No doubt that at 36, he's going to be back. He'll be back slinging it. Maybe it's not this year. It really sucks for the league, though, Glenn, to see him go down. And in the same game, Zach Collaros goes down, and then you just watch no offense to the other guys, you just watch the productivity dip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, what a glaring example of all the talk that we've had about scoring being through the roof and so high. And the number one reason for that, as we've talked about, has been the play of the quarterback position. And to lose two of the top guys, the two veterans, is that hurts. And, Taylor Elgersma and Trey Ford didn't play well. They look like rookies. And, and in the case of Trey Ford, he's had some starter experience. So it was a little more disappointing, when he just barely did anything. I was surprised. When Zach,
I was surprised. I'll use the word surprised.
Yeah, so was I. I mean, and again, I hope he's not trying to be stubborn and prove something to people that he's a pocket passer. That's not his superpower. He can do it. He's done it before, but it's not his superpower. His great characteristic, physical characteristic, is his ability to run and just make people miss and create off-schedule plays. That's his superpower, and he didn't really do it. And a couple of times, but he didn't really do it. He needed to take full advantage of this opportunity, a second chance. Elgersma, again, looked very young, looked like he was unsure. I'm not sure if the play calling got conservative. I heard that clip from Coach O'Shea when you guys ran that earlier, and I just went, oh, come on, you got to be better than that. Anyway, but when both Zach and Bo left the game, the score, I believe at that time, was like 13-11 for Hamilton, and it ended 14-13 with a field goal for Winnipeg. And so the backup quarterbacks with a whole half to play did not score a point except for that last field goal. And Elgersma didn't throw the ball in the last drive to set up the field goal. They gave it to Brady Oliveira 4 or 5 times. So, it does illustrate the difference in the entertainment value of the game when the quarterbacks are playing great. And the reason scoring was up and it was back and forth and so exciting for the first 3-4 weeks of the season has been because of the play of the quarterback. Look at VA in Calgary.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw a touchdown pass with his left hand. The guy was on fire, and it was unbelievable to watch. It was super entertaining. So, yeah, that's a big one.
I don't know how I want to phrase this question because I know what you're going to say.
Okay.
But that Kelowna experience, what if you could change one thing, make one thing maybe a little bit better from all of it? What would it be? Because it looked like it was knocked out of the park. But I want to say if you could change one thing.
If I could change one thing, I would add full-on wine tasting during the game for the broadcast crew would be the one rule that I would implement. And every winery in that region could come with a representation, a bottle, and you could just do a little sip. You know how you do the wine tasting and all of those things. Outstanding, what a great experience. The fandom was off the hook. I mean, you've been to Kelowna. It's a beautiful spot to just go and visit, but fans were, and there were jerseys from everywhere across the country. There were Bomber jerseys and Cat jerseys and everything. So if I could change something and add something, I think there was some issues with the sound system that they couldn't hear some of the penalties and things like that. They needed to improve that. The field was immaculate and looked great on television. The crowd looked great on television.
Correct.
So, you know, and I think it was important for the Lions. And here's why. Not just because, you know, they stayed in the province and brought the game to a new group of people. I had a lot of conversations with kids in between the two games during the week. You know, run into them in a mall and they had a jersey on. So I'd just sit and ask them.
I thought you were going to say at a winery. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Mom and dad are there and they're no. So I, you know, and I asked them and they were all like, this was my first ever game. And oh, is that ever cool? And, you know, they were just raving about it. And that's a huge benefit. But more importantly, I think not more importantly, but important for the team, for the Lions, was they got a chance to stay together and get to know each other. Mm-hmm. So this 0-3 team had a chance to spend a whole week of barbecues and finding out about each other's families. And I've said many, many times on the air and on this show that is the difference between winning teams and losing teams at the top. So the professional level, the difference is not talent. The difference, because everyone has talent, the difference is how tight are you? How much do you want to fight for the guy beside you in the locker room? How that locker room culture has come together. And to do it for a week and hang out with each other and, you know, find out about each other's families and things like that. It's harder to surrender in the middle of a game when you really care about the guy beside you. And so I think that really helped the Lions. I don't know how they're going to take it from here, but they got their first win against an unbeaten team. And I think that was a big reason for it.
That's what I want to ask. But on TV, it looked great. The aerial views, everything they did, maybe minus a quick trip to Crazy Kylie's to grab a new sound system. It sounds like it was a success. But that game, BC needed a win. But I think Edmonton needed a win there just as bad, Glenn, to prove that they're maybe one of the top teams.
Yeah, you know, I think the one thing that Edmonton's probably walking away now thinking is, did someone just figure out the formula to control our offense? And what I mean by that is Justin Rankin and how the Lions corralled him, especially in the first half. And it starts to take Jordan Maksimic, their play caller, and it takes him out of their formula. And he starts saying, okay, I'm not going to hit my head against that brick wall any longer. They've got a game plan for him, so we're going to go to the air. And Cody can do that, Cody Fajardo, but the Lions won that game. So they've they've laid out a little bit of a blueprint for other teams to look at. If you can control Rankin, you've got a chance to, you know, and your offense gets going, you've got a chance to beat that team. So, you know, at 3-1, that's a good start for a really for a team in Edmonton that has had 3 or 4 or 5 bad years. Let's be honest.
They need people in the stands there. So let's hope that happens. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I know we're running even a little bit late here, which is great though. We haven't even talked about the Riders in Ottawa. What's your debrief on that game? Ugly win, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're coaching or playing, and a lot of people that are listening have played sports and all that. A lot of times, a win's a win. Like you're taking that win and running. But what's your debrief on that game?
I don't think it was ugly at all. I think it was a different way that they won, different than other games that they won earlier. You know, when your quarterback throws and it wasn't Trevor's fault, it was a hit that all bounced in the air and early interception, and they had to overcome that. They had to overcome some special team, mishaps. And then the special teams came up and contributed. So they won in a different way. And when you get a punt return for a touchdown and or you're in a close game, those are really tough games too, mentally, honestly. The better team in games like that, where you're playing against a team that hasn't won yet, I don't care what guys say, that they're not thinking about the records, that it's 0-0, all those things, all the cliches you hear all the time. It's a mental battle to not think you can just show up and win. And so all of a sudden it gets close in the game, and you start pressing a little bit, thinking, hey, we should be beating this team, and we're not. And that's when things can go right off the rails. But they didn't do that. So, I think they fought through that mental fight that you're in when you play a team that hasn't won. And a couple of things, I think AJ Ouellette has been missed, and that's no disrespect to Connolly or any other tailback in the organization. It's just, I think AJ Ouellette is an important factor, and he's missed in more than just running the ball. I think Jackson Ford is playing outstanding. I'm going to take a hard look at that, because I have the Rider game this weekend, and I want to go back and sort of study it and look at a lot of different positions. But I just feel like Jackson Ford is playing great. Here's his third down stop, which was huge.
Yeah.
It was a 5-point game at that point. He comes off the edge, and he's getting his nose dirty in a lot of plays. And and I think the difference for Jackson this year as opposed to years gone by, where he's had some opportunity to start at safety, I think back then he was young and trying to make plays happen. And at safety, you have to let the game come to you. And he's doing that now. He's stepping up when it's available and making those plays, but he's allowing them to come to him rather than go out and try to find a big play to make. Because that's when you get in trouble. You get out of your position and you're letting some of your teammates down, and then you're leaving guys in one-on-ones when you should be helping them. And all of those things can fall apart quickly. So I think there's just a different level of maybe maturity. I'm not sure. I don't know. He would be able to answer that, but he's playing great.
Defend Ryan Dinwiddie as a coach. We had him on the show last year. I've always respected him. It seems like a gamer. Like, he's got that dog in him. But I know he's taking some heat here and there. How could you defend him as a coach?
Well, I think he's got to decide on, is Jake Mayer his guy? I mean, when he was in Toronto and he had Chad Kelly, we know what physically Chad Kelly can be. So now, as a head coach, your only goal probably with him is just to keep him on the rails with everything else. But physically, he's a big arm, tremendous arm talent, and a former MOP. So that changes the dynamic between coach and player. I mean, right now, Corey Mace has Trevor Harris. I mean, that's a great setup for both of those guys to just continue to grow and lead together. Now Dinwiddie's in there trying to evaluate a team, evaluate his quarterbacks, decided early Drew Brown was not the guy. That disrupts your entire... When Drew Brown coming into training camp is supposed to be your starting quarterback, and then Dinwiddie actually gets there, and something about Drew's game he didn't like, and now he's got to change gears. And I'm not sure if Jake Mayer is his answer, but he was the guy that was available at the time. And now he's got McLeod Bethel-Thompson in there, and will he be playing? I'm not blaming Jake for everything here. I'm just talking about that relationship. I think they're tied at the hips. They especially in our league, the head coach and quarterback, they kind of they better be in sync together, really, or else it just doesn't work. And I think that's Dinwiddie's thing in Ottawa.
So you said you're doing the game Sunday in Regina. Yes. Are you coming? You must be coming in the day before. Are you going to take in some country western music at Country Thunder out in the Craven Valley? Although Saturday night it's rock and roll with 90s and early 2000s rock band Creed.
Ooh. You're
a music guy. Hey, you and I, we're music guys. I know you want to get out there. Maybe Sing some Scott Stapp or whatever his name is.
Yeah, well, I do the Bomber game first on Friday night, and then I'm traveling Saturday to Regina. So, yeah, I'll just be doing my notes. But I do love Craven. I've been out there. I met Tim. Well, this sounds name dropping, but I met Tim McGraw out there, and heard his football story. You know, he was a football player in high school.
Yeah. Tim. Tight shirt, good fit. He's probably working out. Yeah, I know.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He gets a swole on before he goes onto the stage. Well, if you change your mind, shoot me a text. I don't know what time I'll be going out Saturday, but if you want to go and tap your toes, we get to talk Thursday again. You got a few days to think about it. And Thursday, I want to get into. I want to ask you about the Toronto Argonauts travel schedule, because I know the schedule was released a long time ago and people were talking about it, but now that I really watch where they have to go and what they have to, I'm just like, so I want to talk about that on Thursday.
Their home games on the road. Yeah. We also have to we keep forgetting, and it's my fault, to get to a Joe in Calgary.
Okay.
But let's do that
First
on
thing
Thursday.
On Thursday. That's a tease. That's what we're doing here.
There you go.
A tease. All right. Thanks.
All right,
Glenn.
Barney. Take care, man.
USA. Okay. For Freeze Tallman Lumber, press coverage with Glen Suitor. Freeze Tallman, Regina, and Fort Capel. They do deliver more than a lumber yard at Extreme. You got siding, decking, roofing, windows, doors. Like I said, they can deliver to the cabin or the house. Freeze Tallman in Fort Capel and Regina. Break time. We'll come back. We still have some winning to do on the show today. It is a sports cage for Saskatchewan Lotteries on this Tuesday.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
To penalty kicks it went, and the Swiss dumped Colombia moments ago, about an hour ago, at the World Cup. Argentina defeated Egypt 3-2. So that's it for the round of 16. They move on to the eight-pack. I know that's not what they call it, but I'm calling it that. Western Canadian Baseball League, Regina's in Moose Jaw. Saskatoon welcomes Okotoks, and Swift Current travels into Brooks. Blue Jays in San Fran tonight. They got dummied last night 10-1. Team's third straight loss, 10 of their last 13 as well. They've dropped. And NHL, Claude Giroux re-signs a one-year deal in Ottawa. Sports tickers for Steelcraft Doors in Regina, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and Saskatoon. Covering it all, Steelcraft Doors made in Western Canada for Western Canada. Sprinkle of the day. Curtis talked about those Grey Cup odds. Go to sportselect.com, go under futures. Very surprising that you would think, since he had a bone sticking out of his leg and he's probably not going to play the rest of the year. That's just me thinking that. If it's a clean break, I guess he could be back in, 6 to 8. But Bo Levi Mitchell being injured for Hamilton only puts them down to 850 to win the Grey Cup on Sports Select. You still got Edmonton at 925, Winnipeg at 925, and the Ottawa Red Blacks 47 to 1 to win the Grey Cup. I think the Regina Rams have better odds to win the Grey Cup than the Ottawa Red Blacks at this point.
What are you talking about? MBT MVP. He's coming in there. He's going to start slinging it.
Yeah, but I was actually quite surprised. The Riders are the front runners. We've jumped past the Montreal Alouettes. So just some future talk on Sports Select. Anything else, go on. Make your picks online. Generate a QR code. Go to your Lotto Spot retailer. They scan it, and there you go. Every bet is 100% legal. Chance of winning cash on hand. When you're ready to play with the original Sports Select. More winning. So what do we got, Curtis? We got about 10 minutes left of the show. SaskTel picked the score. Text in right now. Curtis will pick a lucky winner. You got to pick the score for this weekend's game with Hamilton in town. You got a chance to win 2 tickets to the next Rider home game. 936-6262. Here is your chance. I like to wait sometimes to the end. You got people that listen late. There's guys sitting outside of a parking lot right now waiting for their kid at dance or hockey or ball or something like that. Because I do that. So now's your chance. 936-6262. What's the score? Riders, Ticats on Sunday. You got a chance just for doing that to win 2 tickets to the next home game. And then if you're closest to, a $200 SaskTel gift card. So Curtis will pick one of those here momentarily. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Prairieland Rentals text line. Let's go back out there. We've had some good debate, some good conversing on that. There's a couple that I wanted to go here. I was talking, if you just tuned in, it's been a kind of a, I don't get why, I do get it. I shouldn't say that. I just find it too bad that most Canadians that I know that I'm around, they cannot cheer for the USA. I was cheering for them. In soccer, they lost, and I was in a bar where the Americans were cheering for us to beat Morocco. And then I was just like, they're just...
You weren't bothered by all the chirping for the Four Nations stuff, though, and the Olympics.
What about it? What do you mean?
Like, do you not remember when, like, Four Nations was going on and we lost that first game and all the American gloating and touting? It's like, oh, we're the best hockey nation. And then, of course, we won the Four Nations, but then proceeded to lose the Olympics. And the same kind of stuff on social media. It's like, I felt like I had to, like, tune out for, like, a week. It was awful.
On what part, though? I'm not following.
Like Twitter, Facebook.
But I know the social platforms, but we were in
his
the wrong.
star-spangled tinted goggles over here. He doesn't see that.
We gloat more than anybody when it comes to hockey.
No, I feel like hockey is one of those weird things where, like, we were talking about it when the World Cup first started. Hockey is one of those weird things where it's kind of the expectation to win. You know what I mean? And then, like, when you win, you're like, good. That's the default setting. But when we lose, you're really upset. And then with, like, the World Cup, it's the opposite. It's like, kind of the expectation is to lose. So when you win, you're like, this is amazing.
Arash put it well, though, and I did read this somewhere else, that our World Cup, I still think it's a success, and everyone was excited. Like, as far as our competition-wise, on the field, on the pitch, was we beat the teams that were below us, and we lost to the teams that were above us. So we kind of did what was expected.
Par.
I guess.
Ain't nothing wrong with shooting par, baby. That's why we're upset when you lose at hockey. That's shooting under par.
Oh, some of the text messages. Where can I get to? There was the USA soccer uniforms look like jailbird uniforms to match their president, Darcy from Melville. My wife was like, it's like a Where's Waldo when they pan in Seattle to the crowd there with all the USA jerseys. Yeah. What Trey Ford, conversation about, this is coming in, a conversation about Antoine and Regina about Trey Ford will have to be had if he has a bad game this weekend.
Fun fact, Trey Ford is
Never
actually
lost?
Yeah, he's undefeated against the Riders technically as a starter. He's two confirmed starts against the Riders where he's won, technically 3. So, like, he's 3-0 against the Riders with an asterisk, but in reality he's 2-0 versus the Riders, but never lost.
Interesting for sure. You know what? And I didn't even get to this earlier. On this day in 2021 in sports,
tell me, Barney.
So July 7th.
Yes,
it
that's
was a
the date.
Weird time. The Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Montreal Canadiens to win the Stanley Cup 4-1. That was that whole weird COVID year.
Oh,
And
we forget about that.
They had to play Canada, U.S. in the bubbles. And it was great, though, watching hockey all of June into July. I remember being up at the lake because you couldn't cross the border and being like, oh, there's a hockey game tonight. And it was like 33 out. They're walking around in flip-flops and board shorts. And you're going inside to watch the Stanley Cup final. And then it's like, I think a lot of people forget, unless you're a Montreal fan, obviously, that Montreal was in that Stanley Cup final against Tampa Bay.
That was just a time to forget. I bet you like sprinkled on the Tampa Bay too. You probably like pumped your fist a little when they won as well. I'm guessing. Am I right?
Am
I right?
I don't know. I didn't bet on Tampa Bay that year.
That doesn't sound like you.
See? You're all worried. I'm so worried. It's okay. It's okay to like our neighbors to the south. It's okay to cheer for them. It's okay. It's
okay to love your neighbor, Barney. It's just not okay to love your neighbor.
Curtis does. See, I told you we're getting uncomfortable today. It was a good debate, and lots of people, thank you very much for texting in. It's good to be back. And tomorrow on the show, Scott Schultz is coming in. That I can tell you. What else do we got on the show tomorrow? Wednesday. There we go. Sorry. Clark Monroe coming in, Western Canadian Baseball League. We'll talk other sports as well. Clark's very well-rounded. Lee Cormish, soccer insider from the World Cup, will join us. We'll talk some Country Thunder, and John Keane, our WHL insider, because there's rule changes coming in the WHL. And what the heck is going on with Chilliwack? Are they going to have a team? Are they not going to have a team? So we cover all the bases tomorrow. All the different sports. A lot of different sports tomorrow on the Sports Cage. Thanks to everyone who texted in. Curtis, good job. We'll be back tomorrow as for Saskatchewan Lotteries. Have a good night and talk to you then.